Matthew 7, verse 15 to 20. Beware of false prophets which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening in wolves. Ye shall know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes of thorns or figs of thistles? Even so every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit. A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, neither can a corrupt tree bring good fruit. Every tree that bringeth not forth good fruit is hewn down and cast into the fire. Wherefore by their fruits ye shall know them. I'll write down where that came from again. Matthew chapter 7, verse 15 to 20. I'll write it down in the description. And this is the second part of skills empaths and normals must learn when dealing with narcissists, psychopaths, and energy vampires. Now, why I read that scripture is because in my mind, when you have a person whose sort of actions are, you know, they've got a history of doing lots of good things, and they either lose their way or go off the rails, there's usually a reason for that. It's very good to vet people and look at their past and how they've behaved in their past and find out how people's old relationships, people's jobs, people's careers, and also like education as well. Like if people stick to things, if they've shown good track record of where they've shown reciprocity. I know it's not always easy to work this stuff out, or to get this information. But one way could just be looking through someone's social media. Is there like people from their past, or is it just pictures of themselves, or do they show evidence? I don't know, like lots of different partners, and when you ask about the partners, they always blame the other person. Just these little things that I think is good for us to look out for. So it's generally, if you can also look at where people sit in society, where people sit in their kind of lives in terms of like, I think I may have said this in a past video before. You have normals and empathic people who are always improving themselves, always like kind of doing good stuff, bearing good fruit, and out of the blue they just stop, or their progress slows down. Now, the adversary, I like to call him, his job is to steal, kill, and destroy. And he has his minions that he sends on assignment to come into our lives to take our meat. I got that from Coach Greg Adams. It's money, energy, attention, and time. So at the end of these narcissistic, abusive relationships, you'll find, I've said it in past videos, but I'll say it again here, that you would have lost something. You would have reduced something, whether that be you would have lost where you were living, like your house situation, because I don't know why, but they tend to move in with you or sabotage where you're living. Your job situation will go down, either because you lose focus on your job, your purpose. Even if your career is just studying, they might come and disturb your studies, so your grades will go down. They cheat you on money, so even little things like when you go for supper and it might be their turn to pay, they'll say they've forgotten their wallet and you end up paying more than your share, so your finances go down. If your spirituality goes down, because what I find when I was in all three relationships, but I know that spiritually something was going on because all my opportunities stopped. So if you're imagine, just say you're a model. So I used to do actually some modeling, but if you model and you have all these people come to you to wear their garments, and you do shows and pictures, and then as soon as you start being with someone, the opportunity slow down or just completely stops. And some of that is your fault, because you're not maybe responding to people coming for you, but a lot of it can be, if you're following the laws and commandments of the Most High, good things happen to you. Like, you vibrate higher, you're more positive, you attract good things. When you're around negativity, toxic situations, toxic people, you attract more toxic things, and you block blessings that are coming. So you could look at it any way you want. That's my take on things. And you can test it for yourself. Be around positive people, you attract more positive situations, more positive people, more abundance, more happiness, more joy, more love, basically. And if you're around people who spend most of their time in doing carnal activities, you tend to miss good things, and you attract, in fact, you feed your flesh more. So you're actually wanting more alcohol, more smoking, more substances. So you end up going further and further down. I see it with drug addicts on the street, as in I've seen them and I've just watched them sort of decline in sort of how they look, and yeah, they just tend to get sucked in to that lifestyle. So some more points, if you're empath and a normal, I've got here to watch out for. I've got here soul ties and twin flames. So when you're dealing with especially covert narcissism, they tend to mirror us. So they tend to be into, I may have said this in a previous video, but they tend to sort of act like they're into whatever we're into. So if you're into, I don't know, making plates or whatever, cups, they'll say that's their favorite things. If you're into embroidery, knitting, sewing, they would say that's their favorite thing. Just be aware of any relationship that's moving like really quick. Like, you meet them and there's a sexual element straight away which hooks us, and there's this whole kind of feeling of like you met your perfect match. The thing is, even though we tend to not have the best self-image, we tend to have a personality. Like, we have our own kind of things that we're into. We have our own identities, where a lot of these people, they're like a bucket with a massive hole in it. They don't excuse me, they tend to not have their own hobbies, their own real genuine loves for stuff. They tend to be quite shallow. So they tend to just follow for the, trying to get supply, trying to get attention, trying to get their main aims. But yeah, so it's basically just an illusion, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Like, even if, like, I remember when I was seeing the fourth one, and I went to watch something, and she was like, oh, I watched that. So I was like, okay, so what's the name of the something, the director, or whatever it was, what's the name of it? And she couldn't tell me. So if you say, oh, I do this, if you dig a little deeper and say, oh, what year was it this, or who was the choreographer, or who was the people who were the instrumental, who was playing the instruments, they won't really know the detail, because they're not really into it. They're just mirroring you. So it's kind of like you're falling for yourself, which, like, strange, our own like narcissistic traits, but it's like you're falling for yourself. So it's just a concept. So don't tie too much into that. It'll usually come with an element of trauma bonding as well. So there's a lot of extreme highs and extreme lows. I remember with relationship number 2, there was always like a making up, and then there would be this like relations, which was like, at the time it was like something, but I've really I've kind of reevaluated what I think's exciting, because that stuff isn't, and it's a sheer wastage of like your like life, like your life force energy. Let's put it that way. Let me see what I've got here. I've got here, on your journey, try your hardest not to confront people or challenge them on their behaviors. It is actually a skill, these things, because it's like we have to practice it, because it's kind of anti-intuitive to not want to call people out, especially because of our empathy. It's like we're kind of natural truth seekers. Like we want to tell the truth, we want to call things out, we want to correct people. And I made this mistake on all of my discards, where I wanted to tell people what really happened, or call people out, or make, write messages like, what would you call them? Subconscious messages on Instagram, or I don't know. But you have to really go against what seems like counteract. Go against what seems natural to you. Like you want to say, oh, you're this, you're that. But literally, by saying that, we actually will come across like them. That's what they say. You. Like it's always your fault. So try, like, if you see someone is like trying to manipulate you, someone comes across as toxic to you, to other people and their behaviors, just politely just start moving away from them. Like don't even tell them that you've worked them out. You can't tell them you figured them out. They don't change. Just like slowly starts taking a step back from them, observe them, and also start maybe taking records, because if this goes to court later on, if you get the police involved, or there's usually a lot of element where police gets involved later on, at least you have like a document or log of like things that happened, when they happened, and you look more organized. Like they're not really that organized, these characters. They're like I keep saying about the way of their logic. They tend to work they're very impulsive people. They're not someone that is like very strategic, but because they have a network, it may come across like they're this master. They really aren't that. When you start seeing the patterns, and you really go and get the knowledge, once you've got the knowledge, that will arm you with points of like what they do and why, and then you start kind of seeing it, and you can start acting accordingly, and not like feeling like you have to always attack it head on. Sometimes you have to be like a bit more calculated on what you do, and also become a little bit less reactive to what they do. Okay, so if you're in a group of people and they all go against you, leave the group straight away. Like don't stay in the group and try to like fawn, like try to like become more pleasing, or become like more aggressive or whatever. I'm not sure what your trauma, everybody's got a different trauma response, isn't it? It's fight, flight, fawn, and freeze, I think it is. Yeah, don't try to like change what's happening. Like if you're in a group and they all go against you, just leave the group. Like all of this stuff is like, it's not our natural nature to do, because a lot of the time it's like when people gang up on you, because this happened even when I was in primary school, when a group went against me. It's like you want to like prove, like this is the hamster wheel, like you want to show people, oh, I'm not this or I am that. The thing is, the key is to don't prove, improve. So just try to get better and try and see. Sometimes it is us, like we do make mistakes, but a lot of the time it's really a lot of just like backbiting, like from people that can't do what you can do. Like they're just envious of you, and they really don't like their lives. People that like their lives are too busy to be ganging up on people, talking behind your back and blah blah blah. People that are happy, they don't operate that way, and it's tend to be people that are not doing as well as you. They want to slow down your progress. It's like you see a man in a Rolls Royce, he doesn't stop and see a man in a BMW and start calling his friends and discussing the guy at the BMW. It's kind of like people that are above you won't talk bad about you because they don't have time. It's usually people that are below you. I know it's like, but this is usually how it is. It's like people that are like jealous or angry at you for doing what they can't do, or angry at you for what they have done to you. So really try not to defend yourself or explain. Just leave the group. Learn to try and mind your own business. This is an important one. So because of your empathy, when you see someone is upset or someone is acting in a way that's a bit different or weird, you want to inquire, you want to help, you want to, find out what's going on. Again, that's what comes natural, but go against your nature and just learn to mind your own business. I mean, even with me, somebody needed my help once, a lady who lives close by, and I would still do the same thing again. It was an old lady had wandered out into the road from her house and she wasn't crossing the road, so I grabbed her and sort of helped her and got her daughter. And then the next day the daughter said hello to me, and since then she sees me, she just ignores me. So it's not that it matters, but it's, I don't know, a lot of the time, yeah, just you have to learn to just let things be as they are. Like we can't fix everything, but yeah, if you can help someone and it doesn't take away from yourself and you can do it safely, then go ahead and do that. But learn to not take things personally. Learn to, if someone is crying, it's not up to you to save them. If someone is laughing, you don't have to learn what they're laughing about. If someone is angry, it's not your problem. Just learn to just deal with what you got going on. I'll do one last one. Always try to bear in mind time. So when you're dealing with these people, always have in your mind like, oh, I'm only going to spend like 3 to 5 minutes here. A lot of these conversations are like energy exchanges and they are very draining to us. So try not to spend too much time with these people, because what will happen, they'll just end up like explaining, they're just looking for supply basically. So either you're going to give up your personal information, which they'll just use against you, or they'll spend the time just complaining about something that's happened to them. They'll just talk about their life for the whole time. And before you know it, I had this guy from work who used to do this, and then before you know it, like 10-15 minutes has gone and you're there. They might even offer you cigarettes or drinks, or, just talking about stuff. And that's, you haven't even had a word of your side. And it's this person's just explaining, talking on about work, chewing your ear off. Neighbors do that as well. Some neighbors that live next to you, they just talking about the community or whatever, and then you just end up spending so much time. You got your own things to deal with, so that's what you have to think about, putting that first. It's all about reciprocity at the end of the day. I don't know if I said that correctly, reciprocity. So it's a give and take. So if you're seeing someone, you're having a conversation, they're asking about you, you're giving, you're taking, you're listening, it's a two-way exchange. It's not a case of like, you just stood there and someone is chewing your ear about their issues and problems, and you're just stood there listening to it. We want to get out of the habit of doing that. So always have a time set in your mind of spending sort of 3 to 5 minutes max, then get out of there. All right, that's it for today. Boom.